Bright Tuty. Every student matters.
This topic is on the various types of personality that we have. Now, Carl Jung had given a theory in which he stated that there are two major psychological types, and he named these two psychological types as introvert and extrovert. Now, in your life also, you might have heard many a times, people are saying that we have an introvert kind of personality, we have an extrovert kind of personality, right? Today, we will actually look deeper into it, what exactly these two types of personality mean. Also, at a later stage, the personality type of ambivert was also added on. Now, you can see that, this is introvert over here in this image. Then this is extrovert. You can see that ambivert is between them. So ambivert people, they have a combination of personality traits of both introvert as well as extrovert people. Let's look at the characteristics of people who are introvert in nature. So you can basically, have you can relate to it whether you have those characteristics or not, and therefore understand whether you have more of an introvert kind of personality or extrovert kind of personality. So when we talk about introvert people, these are people who have relatively few acquaintances. They are usually conservative in nature. Some studies have also suggested that they are at times suspicious of the motives of others. They are usually not very social kind of people. Antisocial is different, that is against the society. Asocial is different. Asocial is when you like to stay by yourself. Lesser interaction with people is what you prefer. So when we talk about introvert people, they are not social or asocial, but nothing to do with being antisocial. They usually avoid public speaking. So in some scenarios, in some particular situations, when they have to, then they will, obviously. But otherwise, as a personal preference, usually they avoid doing that. They are relatively reserved by nature. It is said that they are self-centered. Now, this self-centered is actually not having a negative connotation to it. In fact, it has a positive connotation to it, that, they have so much within themselves, so many ideas in themselves that they like to stay by themselves. Their energy primarily is also derived from their own self, that is within self. So they need not look at the outside world or the outer world to get food for thought. Within themselves only, they have so many things to think about that they actually direct their energy inward rather than outward. They are largely introspective kind of people. They introspect, they try and understand themselves better. They try and understand their weak spots. They try and understand what are the things that they are really best at, and how to improve as a person. It is said that these are people who are daydreamers. Usually they are hesitant to take the initiative. Now, initiative over here is usually in the sense that, if there is a conversation happening between a group of people, then they are not really going to be starting a conversation. But yes, if the conversation is kick-started, then it's not that they will not contribute at all. But yes, they are hesitant to take the first step. Philosophers, poets, and scientists, they are generally introvert people with an introvert kind of personality. Now let's look at extrovert people, what kind of personality characteristics they possess. They are socially adaptable people. They usually have a lot of acquaintances. Socially, they can be, very adaptable. So if you take them to a party, they can easily mix with people. If you take them to a particular, maybe a serious kind of gathering, they can adjust to that as well. So usually they are fun-loving, socially adaptable kind of people with good networking, good connections. They are talkative. They are self-assertive. They like to express their opinions, their perspectives, their views. They have a keen sense of observation, and they're also attentive in nature. Now, reformers and social workers, they are generally people who are extroverts, right? Okay, now you can see that, to be a social worker, it's more useful to be, an extrovert kind of person with an extrovert kind of personality. as compared to an introvert kind of personality, because social workers need to engage a lot with other people. Public dealing, public speaking is essential for that. So you can see for that is for reformers and social workers, it's primarily extrovert kind of personality which is more useful. Okay, moving to the next, that is a combination of both of them, that is ambivert personality. Most of the people, they fall under this particular personality type. So they're not truly, or clearly an introvert kind of people. Neither they are too clearly extrovert, but they have, mixed traits of both of them. Now, their behavior is understood to be a balanced kind of behavior. So it's a balance between introvert and extrovert kind of personality. Their psychic energy is partially directed inwards, just the way it is in the case of introverts, and partly outwards, just the way it is in the case of extroverts. They are interested in their own thoughts and emotions. Now, this is a trait and characteristics of people who have an introvert kind of personality. So, just like introverts, ambiverts also are interested in their own thoughts and emotions. At the same time, they are also interested in other persons and activities and their action, just the way extroverts are. So you can understand that it's a balance of the two kinds of personalities, extrovert as well as introvert. Now you have introverts over here on this particular left side of the image, and extroverts are there on the right side of the image. You can see that in the image also, symbolically it is denoted that they have their mouths, closed. They're not talking. On the other hand, extroverts, you can see that they are speaking something, just the way it is usually. So introverts like to be alone with their thought. Now it's very important to understand that introverts have, lots of thoughts and ideas. So they usually like to be alone with their own thoughts. They gain their energy also from within. Extroverts, on the other hand, like to talk things out with other people, like to, interact with other people. Introverts think things through before they speak. So they are people who are very considerate. They will sit and think first and then they speak something. Extroverts like to dive in immediately. Introverts, they are energized by being alone. They enjoy their company. Extroverts, they get energized by being with others. So it's very easy to, differentiate an extrovert personality from an introvert personality. Introverts like advance notices of changes. So if there is going to be some serious changes, it's important that, introverts are pre-informed so that they can mentally prepare themselves for these kind of changes. Extroverts, on the other hand, they like surprises, they like changes. So that gives them energy, thrill, right? A push. Introverts like to get feedback, but in private. Extroverts, on the other hand, like public acknowledgement. That, in front of everyone, you are praising them for anything that they have done, right? Introverts, they'll work better alone. So that's the reason that they are usually interested in having individual projects or assignments. Extroverts, they are basically people who are team workers. They like to work within a group. I hope this brings further clarity in the concept of introvert and extrovert in you. We are continuing with the same topic. Now, let's talk about how they recharge. It's important to understand that these two types of personality, introvert and extrovert, they also recharge in a different manner. Now, what happens is, let's say if there is a social event, which is a very big social event, or, a team building kind of activity, then introverts might need some time to be alone and gather their thoughts after this, big social event. On the other hand, extroverts do not need this kind of time and space. About how they connect, how introverts connect and how extroverts connect, let's see how they connect in a different manner. Introverts like one-on-one conversations, right? Deep conversations, very important. Whereas extroverts, on the other hand, they are usually interested in group discussions, service level discussions about normal topics, but not really deep conversations and not one-to-one conversations. Different level of relationship. That's another area of differentiation between these two types of personality. Introverts like forming deeper relationships with people. So fewer people, but quality relationships. Close people. They like really getting to know someone. They are interested in what are their hobbies, their interests, etc. And they have a tendency to build closer relationships which last for a long time. Extroverts, if we talk on the other hand, they like being friends with a lot of people, but they hardly form deep relationships with people. Right? So that's the major difference between the kind of relationships, the quality of relationships that these two types of people have. Next area of difference is listening versus speaking. Now, when we talk about introverts, they are people who have a tendency to listen more. So they're very patient, they're very calm, they like to listen to what the other people the other person has to say. They are deep thinkers. They have a lot of great ideas to share. Extroverts might be the loudest ones in the room. So you can catch an extrovert, very easily in the room, somebody who is very loud, talking all the time. But that does not mean that the idea should be taken by default. It may be not the most appropriate idea. The most appropriate idea may come from an introvert just because they are the noisiest ones in the room, the loudest ones in the room, or being very forceful with their statement or opinion does not mean that their ideas should be taken by default. It's important that introverts also are listened to and their ideas also understood. Another difference lies in how these two categories of people deal with change differently. Introverts are very comfortable with their habits and their routines. Introverts, in fact, may be a little resistant to change. Now, for instance, in this current pandemic situation, many things have undergone a change. Introverts relatively may have found, it more difficult to adjust as compared to extroverts, right? So that's the change, the attitude they have to change. They resist change. They like their own routines and habits. Okay. Now, another difference lies in this that introverts are relatively more reserved. Now, there is a myth that, introverts are shy. Actually, introverts are thinkers. It's not that they are shy. It's not that they are, low in terms of confidence. It's just this that they are thinkers. It's important to allow these introvert people time to open up and to feel comfortable. So extroverts open up, in just few seconds, but introverts need their own time and space to open up with someone. The moment they feel the warmth, the moment they get positive vibes from you, the moment they feel comfortable, they open up with you. Now, the way they open up is also different when it comes to introverts and extroverts. Introverts open up only to few people. That's why it's usually said that they are very selective when it comes to opening up to people. But when they open up completely. So that is something important to keep in mind. Okay. Moving ahead, introverts are reflective in nature, whereas extroverts are people who are usually wanting attention. Introverts need time to reflect before making a decision. Extroverts, on the other hand, need attention and they thrive on this attention. If they get attention, they feel comfortable, they feel happy, they feel satisfied. If they do not get attention, then that is actually an issue for them. Good managers, like if you're working in an organization, and a good employer or a good manager will somehow find a way to balance both these kind of people and put them in the team so that both of them get an opportunity to voice their opinion. Okay. So introverts, usually it is understood that they need some quiet space to work. So there are a lot of noise around, especially a lot of stimulus around. Introverts get distracted very easily. Introverts might need to be prompted to submit ideas in a group setting, meaning thereby that if there is a group conversation happening, a group discussion happening, everybody will put forth their ideas, but introverts will have to be prompted, pushed to actually place their ideas in front of the group. Okay, now let's talk about the third type of personality, that is ambivert. Usually, these people do not have any adjustment issue. They are not overtly loud and aggressive, just the way extrovert people are, but still they enjoy being outgoing, and they do so on their own terms. So not in every situation they would want to be, outgoing and talking and connecting with people, but yes, as per their own terms, in limits, they like to engage with other people. They also enjoy their solitude, which means they also enjoy their own company, but like introverts, they are not extremely quiet in nature. Ambivert can sometimes be a little confusing to others. Why? Because they can sway too far in either direction, that is, either completely introvert or completely extrovert rather easily. So people might feel that they are confused. In one situation, they are behaving in one manner, and another situation, they are behaving in a slightly different manner, or maybe even totally different manner. These are referred to as behavioral fluctuations in ambivert kind of people. Ambiverts usually are understood as having flexible traits of personality. These are flexible people. They can work alone also, and they can work well in groups also. They can take charge also, which means they can be good leaders also. They can be good initiative takers also. At the same time, they may be comfortable stepping down and allowing somebody else to take the charge. So both of these things you will see that they have in them. So they are flexible by nature. Okay. Now there is a downside, or you can say a disadvantage of this flexibility of personality that they show. This level of flexibility may denote that they are indecisive in nature, right? Intuitive traits. Ambiverts are highly intuitive in nature. They can sense the emotions of others, which is a very good thing. They are not afraid to talk, which means that it's not that if they're not talking to somebody, it's because they have some complexes, right? It's not because of that, but it's just this that they like to, or maybe they enjoy to observe and listen to other people. They are likely to know when to help somebody or when to stay back. So they basically have a very good understanding, emotional understanding, that this is the right time to step in and help someone. This is the right time where they can actually take a back seat and listen to what the other people are saying. So you can say that they are very smart when it comes to social scenarios, pragmatic in approach. Okay, now let's take up the questions which are related to this particular topic. Towards the end of the chapter in your book, you have exercise questions. Now, under the category of short answer question number 12 is, what are the differences between extrovert people and introvert people? So if you've listened to this video and concentrated on it, you should be able to answer this short answer question.